Welcome to BaseballGuys.com. I'm your host, as always, the one and only Ray Flowers. Going to start off with a couple of pitchers, and a couple of pitchers that are dealing with some injuries. We have Luke Hochevar going on the disabled list for the Royals today. That's not a big story. The big story is the two other right-handed hurlers I'm going to mention. First off, there's Jake Peavy of the White Sox. Now, according to manager Ozzie again, and I'm going to quote him here so I don't get this wrong, Peavy has something with his arm. I don't quite know what that means. I don't think anyone quite knows what that means. At least it wasn't laced with expletives like often come out of the mouth of Guillen. But the fact of the matter is, Peavy, who struggled for most of the start of the year here, apparently has some issue with his arm. We're not at all certain if this is something that's going to put him on the disabled list. Given his history of always having a little bit of a bump and a bruise at some point in the year, it's not that surprising. Keep your fingers crossed if it's something minor. Hopefully it is, and hopefully Peavy will be able to stay on the hill for the White Sox. Now, Tim Lincecum over in the National League, he's had some problems of his own, not necessarily with his arm, but with his control. Seems to have fixed that the last couple times on the hill. He's looked very good. But today, he had a little bit of a scare when he took a line drive off his pitching shoulder in the game against the Orioles. Now, Lincecum, he's got that big motion. He jumps toward the plate. The arms are flying, all that kind of stuff. It's really exciting to watch. But he finishes in a terrible fielding position, exposing his backs to the hitter. And on that follow-through, the ball glanced off his shoulder. It was a line drive. It hit him fairly hard, but it did glance off him. It didn't hit him in thud. He came out with the trainer. It was the end of the inning, so they took him out of the game. Reports are that he's got a contusion. It's not a major issue. He's supposed to make his next start. We'll have to monitor the situation obviously closely to make sure it doesn't stiffen up over the next couple of days. But it looks like Lincecum missed out on becoming injured, and that's a great news for the Giants and his fantasy owners. Carlos Ruiz, well, he's another player with some injury issues, and it's really causing him some struggles. The ankle's bothering him right now. He's not going to play on Wednesday. Ruiz is 0 for his last 22. He's 9 for his last 55, which equates to a 164 batting average. All of the good that saw him leading the league in on-base percentage, batting well in the 300s at the start of the year, has completely eroded. It's time to get very, very nervous if you're a Carlos Ruiz owner. Hopefully he'll be able to stay healthy, stay on the field, and return to a semblance of a productive major league hitter. It just hasn't happened lately for the Phillies. Alex Rodriguez is another player who's injured. He's coming back off a hip injury. He's DHing today for the Yankees. The Yankees hope to get him out there and expect him to play pretty much every day moving forward. They don't consider that hip injury to be a major issue after he's out at about a week of time. A-Rod had a slow start to the year. He's on pace for about 110 RBIs, but he's barely on pace for 20 home runs. He's really going to have to pick things up for those people that spend a top 5 draft pick on him this year, not to be very disappointed at the end of the 2010 season. Going back to the Giants club who I mentioned, it's a little bit of an interesting story here. It's something we've talked about in the preseason, and that's the weight of Pablo Sandoval. Now, Sandoval, he's had some issues at the plate. I talked about him the other day on Around the Horn, hitting below 250 the last 40 games with the Giants. He's undisciplined. He swings at far too many pitches. He's been off balance a lot of the years. Mechanics haven't been very good. That's one issue. But the main issue, again, is that weight. Now, there's a lot of people around the Giants organization, scouts in Major League Baseball, they're very worried about the 24-year-old Sandoval, who already looks like Mo Vaughn at the end of his career. Sandoval could probably stand to lose 20 or so pounds, maybe more. He's going to have to be much more diligent with his work. He had Camp Panda this offseason where he supposedly lost 12 pounds. By the time the regular season started, he put it all back on. Giants are going to really try to impress upon him the need to avoid Taco Bell and Burger King. And if either one of you are listening, I love your food, by the way. Avoid those situations and eat a little bit healthier so that he can truly fulfill the potential he has as potentially one of the top hitters in the National League. Finally, two situations to discuss. One, Conor Jackson. He's batting leadoff for the A's today. The A's are doing a little bit of stuff with the outfield. Conor Jackson's going to be their everyday left fielder. Bob Guerin came out and said that, which is really good news for those people that were worried about a little bit of a platoon situation. The A's got a lot of players to use in the outfield, but a lot of injuries. Conor Jackson should be a mainstay in that lineup and someone you've got to add immediately in AL-only leagues and keep a close eye on in mixed leagues. And then finally, another White Sox, this one a hurler, Daniel Hudson, who I should have mentioned when I was talking about Peavy off the top. If Peavy does go on the disabled list, I would expect Hudson to be recalled from the minors. Now, he had a horrible first outing at AAA, but since that point, he has been nails. Since that horrible outing where he gave up 9 runs in 1 inning pitched, he's got an ERA in the 3.3s. His whip is below 1.1. He's averaging 10.8 strikeouts per 9 innings. He dominated through the minor leagues last year, and he's looked very, very good of late. So if he's called up, he immediately also becomes someone you want to look at in AL-only leagues. I'm Ray Flowers, BaseballGuys.com. Don't forget to visit me at twitter.com/baseballguys, and of course at baseballguys.com. Thanks again.